Hi, this is Chris with Stupid Raisins, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to cut video in Final Cut Pro. Kids at home, don't play with knives. Now I'm going to share with you how to cut video clips in Final Cut Pro using different tools. From the range tool to the trim tool, the blade tool, I'm going to show you how to use the right tool in the right situation. Let's check that out. All right, so we're here in Final Cut Pro. So we're gonna live in this menu right here. We have a couple of these tools that we're gonna work with. The first one I wanna show you is just the basic select tool. If you ever find yourself with a different tool selected, all you gotta do is press the A key and you're back to the select tool. So the way you can cut with this is simply dragging the ends to either shorten the clip or lengthen the clip. So the ends of the clip are highlighted yellow. And if you ever reach the beginning or the end of the clip source, it will turn red. All right, the next thing is the blade tool, which when you think of cutting, you're typically gonna think of the blade tool. So to cut video with the blade tool, what we're gonna do is come up here to the tool selection menu, go down to blade. There's also a shortcut, which is B. So the cursor turns into some scissors, and you can find a spot along the timeline, and wherever that red line is at is where it's gonna cut. And you can see this is a dotted line here. That is a through cut, meaning if you play that back, there's not gonna be any kind of jump. It almost works like a placeholder cut. So what you can do is you can switch back to the select tool, press A, and then start dragging, and what you'll see now is you'll see a solid line. So we can Command C, get that back to how it was. What's great about this tool is if for some reason you wanted to edit this half of the clip and leave this half of the clip alone, you could edit this here and it would still move smoothly from one part of the clip to the next. The other way to use the blade tool is with the shortcut of holding B. So I'm gonna hold down the B key, and that's gonna give us our blade cursor here. And what we can do is we can make some cuts, and then if we let go of the B key, then it goes straight back to the previous tool we were using. All right, another shortcut is Command B. And anywhere you have your playhead or skimmer, it's gonna be highlighted red. Anywhere you have this red line at, it's going to create a blade on the main storyline right where that's at. So now if we drag one of these clips up on top and we try to do the same thing, we'll just set our playhead right there. We'll do Command B. It's not gonna cut the top clip, just the bottom one. But if we select both clips and then Command B, it'll cut all the way through all the clips we've selected. Now, if you don't wanna go through the work of highlighting, you can do Shift Command B, and that will cut through everything where that playhead is at on the timeline. Now, speaking of this playhead, I do wanna show you one thing. Right now we have the skimming turned on, which is right here. That is the video skimmer tool. So now as we move across, you notice that line is no longer there. Instead, you would wanna move your playhead to the place where you wanna cut. I prefer to use the skimmer tool because it allows me to see a preview of what's happening in this particular clip. Because once we turn that off, you no longer see that preview, you only see where the playhead is at. All right, next tool for cutting is the range tool. So that's right here, the range selection. So as you can see in the menu here, the shortcut for that is R. So we're gonna go ahead and hit R, drag a range, and then we can straight up delete it right out of there. So just like the blade tool, we can hold that R key, make that selection, and then we're back at our previous tool. Now, if you want to further sharpen your skills, then check out the videos that we make all the time to help with your Final Cut Pro projects. Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so you can get notified when we release our next video. All right, the next tool we're gonna take a look at is the position tool. Now this one's a little different in that we still have the option to drag from these endpoints of the clip, but what it's gonna do is it's gonna allow the timeline to stay where it's at. So when we do the normal selection tool and trim this, there is a ripple across the entire timeline, and the entire timeline changes its length and all the other clips behind it start moving. So if we want all the clips to stay right where they're at, we go to that position tool, which again, we got the shortcut for that one is P. So the P key, and then we can select these, and it's going to create a gap wherever we shorten that clip to. So, in this case, we may have another crowd shot that we want to put in right here. we could drag this over, create that gap clip, and we know that eventually we want to drop in a new clip there. Which in that case, let's say this was our new clip. We could also drag this over, drop it down, overwrite it to the primary storyline. We've now cut and replaced that spot, that gap, with a new clip. And you also saw the position tool. When you lift this up, it does leave a gap below it. So the next tool we're going to look at is the trim tool. Again, just like the other tools, you can press the T key for the trim. You can also hold down T, do the trim, and let it go, and you return back to the previous tool. So one thing that it does is it will actually keep the same edit in point and end point of this clip, but you can change where the source clip lands. So let's say you don't like exactly where the boxer ends up walking to. You can drag this along to where he ends up at the corner of the ring there. It just gives you a lot of fine-tuning abilities. You can see right here as you select between clips, the cursor changes. And what this does is it allows you to move this cut point across the timeline. Now you may get to a point where you either reach the end of one of the clips, or you might reach the end of the current clip that you're trying to extend. In that case, you can drag the clip in the inside, and that gives you freedom to drag it even further. We have two hidden tools called Trim Start and Trim End. So to find those in the menu, we come up here to Trim, Trim Start, Trim End, Trim to Playhead. So we could skim over this clip here, and if we press Option and the right bracket, it will actually take the end of that clip and sort of like the bracket does, it'll like line it up right with that bracket, deleting the rest of it. It is a super handy tool, and you can actually use it as you play through. So let's say we're playing this through and we want to cut that end, cut that beginning, cut the beginning of that, and cut the end of that. All right, so it's important as you're going through a project to make sure that you're using the right tool for the right job. And I highly recommend, even if you're just starting out, start to learn some shortcuts. It's gonna save you so much time down the road. And with that, we've reached the end. Thanks for tagging along. Looks like you made the cut. Now that you've learned how to cut video in Final Cut Pro, I've made another video about how to do slow motion in Final Cut Pro. Click here to check it out.